Now we've got a pond here at the moment, and we're going into winter here in Australia. And going into winter, you really want your koi on the fatter side because they're not going to eat so well as the months get colder, and you want to make sure they're nice and fat. So these guys at the moment are very thin. Now the reason why these are very thin is that this pond has had constant trouble with ammonia, and it has very good filtration. It has 2 big oases. Now it has very good aeration, very good water flow. The pond is heavily populated, but I'm not going to say that I think it's too overpopulated. There are plenty of people who've got more koi than this in their ponds. So what I'm suggesting has happened here is that I know for a fact that the UVs on these filters have always been on. So what may be happening is the good bacteria has never really got a chance to establish in the filter. And a possible way forward is to turn the UVs off, which just means unplug these 2 units, and then we can add a bacteria supplement into the water. Now there's commercially available bacteria supplements that are sort of better than nothing, and there's also very high quality bacteria supplements that need to stay refrigerated that we can order. So we could start with a off-the-shelf one. Then if we're not getting the result that we really want, maybe we should invest in a higher quality live bacteria culture. And then we'll put this bacteria culture in, and it's my bet that once a good bacteria culture's in this system, therefore we've got the good worms in the compost heap, then I think our ammonia problems are going to go away. Once that happens, we need to feed these fish up. Not being silly, but just making sure we're feeding good quality foods. I would probably be looking at Spectrum's probiotics for now, because it's a very clean food and we don't want any extra waste in this pond. So I'd be keeping up the water changes. Then I would switch over to something like Danichi, and a mix of probiotics from New Life Spectrum and Danichi would be the food that I'd be looking at. And this will take a little bit of time, but that's what I'd be guessing is going to remedy this situation. Now this pond has very, very good surface agitation, but I do want to be able to appreciate the fish a little bit more. So what I'm going to recommend we do is, if possible, move that pipe that way a little bit. And then we've got some air stones, move them that way a little bit. We've already moved this one, so we've got some nice surface agitation here. And it would just be nice to see this water clear up a little bit more, debubble it a bit. The surface agitation is actually very, very good, but I'd be suggesting that one alone is probably going to give us enough surface agitation for this pond, just to clear the surface up and make it easier to view the fish. Now these filters need backwashing on a regular basis. At the moment it's getting done once every 2 months. Now on the basis that when it does get backwashed, the water comes out dirty and comes clean quite quickly. So you basically just switch it to backwash, pump on those handles, and it comes clean relatively quickly. So I'm assuming, particularly on the basis that the fish aren't being fed heaps, because there's been ammonia issues, that's probably okay. But you need to keep an eye on these filters and probably backwash them about once a month, particularly once you start increasing the amount of food that you're putting in there. So we're going to get these UVs, UVs are off now. We're going to add some good bacteria to this pond to get rid of the ammonia. Now the other thing that we could do too, which would work very quickly, and I would highly recommend, is we could actually get some cured marine pure from Majestic and throw them in the bottom of the pond. And that will make sure that we've got lots of good bacteria ready to go. And then you can leave the marine pure on the bottom, and the marine pure will just work like a compost heap and will bring lots of good, mature bacteria from Majestic's system. So now if we just take off those end caps.
Yeah, sorry. And I have to turn these on.
Yeah, once you switched it over, I mean, it's much better to turn off the unit before you switch it over.
Yep.
Yep, beautiful. Now what I'm trying to watch is how dirty it is.
It's dirty.
It's not dirty.
No.
It's not dirty. And you said you haven't done that for a month.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to call that dirty, no way. But mind you, you obviously haven't been feeding much.
I feed them every day.
Well,
And I just a little handful.
yeah, well, it's obviously not a lot because they're so skinny.
Yeah.
So once you fix this ammonia problem, you're going to have to up the food.
Okay.
And the main food I want you to up is Spectrum's probiotics because that's really clean.
Yeah.
Then as we start being confident we fix the ammonia, I do want you to use Danichi.
Okay.
Because fish keeping is 50% water quality, 50% food quality. Let's check this one out. I mean, I'd say that's very clean.
Okay.
So if you just gave that a little check once a month,
Yep.
and obviously pump on the handle as need be. So fish keeping is 50% water quality. I want to see that water sample again because I want to check what your nitrates are. And I'm assuming your nitrates will be very low because your filter was very clean and your, oh, it's not actually that low. So your KH, this one here, the KH, that can't be 0 or the bacteria will stop working. So far it's fine. Your hardness is 10, that's pretty good. pH, okay, I'm not happy with that at all. So we're going to need to do a water changes ASAP because that pH is bad. Now the ammonia is what's making that pH go down because the acids in the ammonia would be lowering the pH. Phosphate's very high and nitrates are high. So I'm going to recommend that this pond gets some regular water changes. For now, even if you could change sort of that much of it every day or every 2 days until we get the water right, I'd be really happy with that. So there's definitely some things we could do to improve this water. And that as far as food is concerned, Spectrum's probiotics is the main food I want now. Once we start fattening up the fish, then I want to move to Danichi because it's a slow cooked food. The reason why I want to focus on the probiotics from New Life Spectrum is that the probiotic bacteria, it has a probiotic bacteria, and the probiotic bacteria in the food means when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo, so it really helps keep the pond clean. And at the moment, we've got some of this, so that's quite a good food. So I would introduce that into the diet later on once we've fixed everything up again. So in the long run, Danichi and probiotics are my favorite foods, but while you've got this food, I'd slowly get that in the diet because it's really quite a good food as well. So keeping an eye on what food you're feeding is really important, and in this case these fish are just too skinny because we've had ammonia, and I believe we've had ammonia because the bacteria has never cultured the filters because the UVs have always been on.